So after connect, what are you going to do? Well, let's give a structure to what we are going to present and how we are going to present. Okay. So how would you define your structure? Now, again, don't limit yourself thinking only from a PPT standpoint, ladies and gentlemen. This is beyond that. This is any and every day, when you walk up in the office and you are supposed to probably meet up in a meeting room. So that also you need to structure it. Even if you're a participant, still structure it so that you come across or you stand out of the crowd when you ask questions, because now you have structured your questions. Okay. So how are you going to go about it? Well, there are simple 4 steps to it, and we will take them one by one. Okay. Again, I hope you're taking down notes. Number 1, prepare. Now, I'm going to discuss this in detail. So I will tell you exactly what do I mean by prepare, and prepare doesn't always just mean practice. I mean, that is embedded. So that is given. So remember, we have to practice. Okay. But this prepare is a little more than just practice. Okay. Then comes design, presentation. Okay. Again, not always whiteboard. Okay. Sorry, not always PPT. And towards the end, branding. Last one is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, remember all of this, what you're doing, okay, is you're using yourself as a brand, okay? And people associate brands with quality. Remember that, okay? So when you think of quality, there are certain brands that you think of. And when you think of low-grade products, there are certain brands that you look for. Okay, so remember that. And we're going to cover that in detail when I'm covering branding, in terms of how do you brand, or how do you, again, magnify your presence. Okay. Number 1. Now, if you can relate with this girl wherein she's preparing and she doesn't know what to say, well, you are no different. I'm the same. Okay. I also, when I have to prepare, I'm also thinking, how do I go about it? What all do I need to do? So the first step, ladies and gentlemen, in prepare is reach early. Now, I've discussed this in my workshop as well, and I'm telling you, this actually works. So 21 years I've been doing it. Reach early. Reach that place early. Get familiarized with the surroundings, because that is important. Get familiarized with the logistics. Where are the chairs kept? How are the table? Where would you be sitting? Where would who all be sitting? I tell you what, most of the time when if you're working in an MNC and a client is coming to meet you, what do? You set the boardroom. I mean, not you, but of course the office folks, they set the boardroom. Okay. They make sure that everybody has their placard, the name card, who's going to sit where, and then you're going to put on the chair, on the table. So people who are coming in, they would know where to sit. Then you will lay, when I'm saying you, that means again the office, then you lay down, coffee mugs or cookies or whatever, depending upon how grand your budget is. But the reason why people do that, okay, the reason why they do that before the guests come, so that the room is set. Now, when the room gets set and you will already feel confident. Let me put it this way. If a guest is coming to your house, you would make sure that the room is clean. And when the room is clean, you also feel more confident. But here, reaching early is not just for making sure the room is set. That is, of course, there. You need to make sure the logistics are there, so that when you're presenting something, when you're meeting, you're conducting a meeting, everything should be impeccable. And for that, you need to reach early to check the logistics. But you also reach early to claim that room for yourself, to get familiarized with the room. And then you'll be more confident. So reach early. Okay. It's always beneficial. Number 2, again, power poses. Now, we've covered this, so I'm not going to cover in detail here, but important thing is, if you feel nervous, and everyone feel nervous when they're presenting something, when they're meeting a certain board of directors, you're meeting new people, meeting new teachers, meeting new trainers, meeting new professors or doctors. So what you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is before you enter, or if you have reached early and there's no one in the room as well, what you do before everybody comes in is use power poses. Again, so raise your hands and say, I got it, or stand like a hero pose. It helps. It makes you feel powerful and confident. And use it. This is tried and tested techniques. This is not something that I've, just telling you for the sake of it. These are tried and tested techniques This is how you prepare. Okay, you fill yourself with confidence. What else? Then we talk about the important aspect. Most importantly, make sure whatever that you're presenting, the data has its backup. For instance, okay, if it's a presentation that you have that you need to present, make sure that you send it to other people as well. Other people in terms of not the participants, but someone else as well, just in case if your laptop doesn't work. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if a thing can go wrong, it will go wrong. Again, if a thing can go wrong, it will go wrong. So make sure you have a plan B. That's what data backup means. Even reaching early has its benefits. If you leave early to reach a destination and God forbid something happens, you have a flat tire, something happens to your car, you still have that buffer of reaching the place on time. That is why you need to reach early. Do you understand? You follow me what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? So this is why preparation is more important. How you prepare yourself, and also how do you conduct yourself. Okay, important thing to note down here is data backup is not just for that. I mean, it could be simple things as well. It could be you're presenting something about, say, an idea. Make sure that you have a copy saved somewhere else as well, just in case if you're not able to open your pen drive or not able to connect, you have a backup. So maybe a printout can help you. Okay, maybe some notes can help you. Always carry a backup. Plan B, remember this, plan B shows your commitment towards plan A. Okay, without plan B, your plan A, if it fails, you have nothing. That is what it means. That just shows your commitment towards plan A. So if plan A doesn't work, you have plan B in your arsenal that you can use it. Make sense, everybody? Make sense? Okay? Okay, good. Let's move ahead. Okay? What's the second thing that we need to take care of in preparation? Okay? Sorry, in structuring our what we're presenting on is design. Now, what do I mean by design? Well, simple. If it's a whiteboard presentation, you have to be different. If it's a laptop or online presentation or online sharing or online meeting wherein everybody's camera is on and you're talking to them, you have to be different. And towards the end, if it's a real presentation, you have a projector, it's projecting a presentation and you're standing and you're presenting. Now, all these three are different. How? Let me explain, okay? Whiteboard presentation. If it's a whiteboard presentation, ladies and gentlemen, then that's usually done with a marker and a whiteboard, okay? So what happens? You need to know how you stand. You need to know that your back should never face the audience. So you always write sideways. So if this is the board, okay, imagine this is the board. So I can't turn my back and write it. I have to stand like this and write so that my profile at least is still facing the audience. Making your back, or if your back faces the audience, is considered rude. So my suggestion, and especially if you're presenting it to your board of directors, especially then, okay, so make sure that you don't stand with your back facing the audience. Now, what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is the tricks of the trade, okay? No one will tell you this. So please ensure that what I'm telling you, you're also making notes and remembering, this as well. So remember this well. Okay, whiteboard presentation in which you need to carry a marker. Now, remember the marker needs to be tested before you start. This is usually for professors and teachers who have to probably discuss with the students or even with the other teachers. So make sure, because that is your plan B, that is your data backup. Make sure that your markers are working. If it's an online, what do you mean if it's an online? How do we go about it? Well, if it's an online presentation, make sure that you are dressed appropriately as well, okay? And you always look at the camera. One thing I'll tell you, in all my one-on-ones, barring a few, I found it very difficult to look at the people. Why? Because they were not looking at me, okay? So they will look for a second and then they begin to look somewhere else. Now, I understand it's difficult because it's not face-to-face. But ladies and gentlemen, such is the condition right now. So it's pandemic right now. Eventually, I'm sure the world is going to open up. But this is the new way now, online, that people will be talking to you through a laptop or through a phone. And you need to be looking at the camera when you talk to them, when you're presenting something. Because when you look at the camera, people who are looking in at you, it'll make them feel as if you're looking at them. See, if I look here and talk, my eyes are not in the camera. However, I am even if I'm presenting something, the idea that I'm presenting and not looking at you troubles you a little, because I'm not looking at you. So the engagement is different. But when I look at you and then talk to you, I've suddenly engaged you. And that is what the power of, this is very powerful, eye contact. So that is what the power that lies in your eye contact, especially in the online world, wherein you're supposed to be conducting a meeting online. Because if it's a whiteboard presentation, then of course you stand up and you look at everybody. Okay, if it's a presentation, which I'm going to cover right now, I'll tell you how to make an eye contact. But in online, it's very difficult. So look at the camera and then talk. Okay, makes sense? Then let's look at the other one, presentation. Now, if you're presenting something and a projector is running and it's throwing, your PPT on a board or probably on a PowerPoint screen, then remember that never to block the projector. Okay, don't let it project on you. So whenever you are presenting something, ladies and gentlemen, and now you need to probably use the whiteboard to write it down, make sure you switch off the presentation first and then write it down. Again, these are tricks of the trade that I'm telling you, but this makes a lot of it helps you in casting that powerful impression. It'll look confident. If you switch off the presentation, switch on the lights and then come in and talk to them, it shows that you're a very confident person. Again, tricks of the trade. Okay, so remember that whiteboard presentation or online presentation, or if you're presenting through a PPT, both in all these three cases, you need to be making sure that you are using these resources to your best ability and to their best ability as well. So if it's a presentation, then find out there are different ways that you can block a presentation without even switching off the projector. Okay, so all of that information is important, because that is how you design it. So you design it as per what your medium is, whiteboard, online, or a PPT. Now, what else? Then comes your presentation itself, and it gotta have an opening, body, and closing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, your opening will be your introduction to the topic. Why are we doing this topic? What topic? The body has to be wherein the people will take down notes. The body is very, very important. But people will not take notes if you haven't had a good opening. That means you haven't laid down the expectation. You haven't told them why we're doing this. What is the need? Why should I do this? Why should I learn about presentation skills? So that's important to tell that this is what is coming out in our one-on-ones. So it becomes more sense. Now you'll be able to reflect back and say, yeah, because I did discuss this time. So this is important for me. So I better make notes. Okay. Towards the end, closing is when you will conclude your presentation or your idea or your meeting. All these three, ladies and gentlemen, has its own importance, and hence this helps you prepare well. So if you have a good opening, you have a good body, you have a good closing, for sure you'll have a greater impact on the audience. I have seen trainers and I've seen professors as well who had a great opening but a very poor follow-up after that. Okay, and then towards the end, it just dies down. So make sure that you pay enough attention to your audience. Make sense, everybody? Yeah? Making sense? And then comes your branding. This is important, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you are presenting or sharing an idea, people will have an impression of you. See, branding is associated with quality. Okay, for instance, we all have heard of Lifebuoy, the soap. We have, right? But do you know, no matter how hard Lifebuoy tries, it remains just one of those ordinary soap that we probably use it at best to wash our hands. But Lux, however, okay, is different, right? Dove is different. Similar thing is with cars as well. Okay, when you think of a Toyota versus a Maruti, When you think of a BMW versus a Honda, you see what I'm doing? Brand makes you feel, or rather makes you connect with the quality, and also there are only certain people who use certain brands. So it also calls for an exclusivity. So whenever you think of brand, ladies and gentlemen, don't just think of these big companies. You are also a brand. You are a brand ambassador for yourself and of yourself. So whenever you're presenting, people will look at you and they will form a value to what you're saying. Okay, so either they'll look at you and say he's very valuable because whatever that he shares always helps, so it's valuable asset. Or somebody who is probably not that great an employee will have a low branding value. That is why in meetings, ladies and gentlemen, some of the times there are certain people, when they state their points, they are paid more attention to. It's because of brand value. So create that brand value. And that is why you need to prepare. So if you're prepared, then you are ready to promote your brand. And when I say promote your brand, that doesn't mean that you start talking about yourself, but promote your brand in terms of that people will be able to value your brand value. So what you say will have more weightage because of the very fact that, well, Berna is saying it. So she must have thought about something. That's why she's saying it. Rama has a good point. So if he's saying it, that obviously means that there is something which I need to write it down, right? If Sushil is raising his hand, that means he'll have a valid question. See, all of these, okay, will form and not just an impression, but also your brand value. So I would know how, as an audience member, that if someone is presenting and someone is a very good orator, then that has a brand value to it. Versus, and same thing, okay, like some of us may like Amitabh Bachchan, the way he delivers his dialogue, okay, or Nashiruddin Shah, the way he delivers his dialogues. But if you were to look at probably one of those actors which you do not like, well, that's his brand value. Making sense, everybody? Okay, so make sure that you lay extra emphasis on your brand value. And the only way that you can do that is making sure that you prepare well. Okay, now let's move on. So we have covered connect, we have covered structure. What else? Important thing. What else comes? Win-win. What is win-win? Well,